Welcome back everyone to the Hello World guys. This is another episode of the Advanced SFML game series, and in this video we are gonna continue by creating a death system for Mario. So to begin with, I have created a public boolean, I repeat, in Mario called is dead. You could make this private and create a bunch of methods, but seriously there's no point because let's just make it public. And in Mario.cpp what we do is that when we are checking for begin contact, we first check if the data type is object and the tag is enemy. So first of all we check this condition. We do not check if the ground fixture is equal to self yet, and inside of this, if the ground fixture is equal to this fixture, which means that we hit it with the ground, that means that Mario jumped on the Goomba, which means the Goomba should die, the enemy should die. So we just call that method like we did in the previous video. And if that's not the case, which means some other thing hit, then that means that Mario's time to die is here. So we just set is dead to true on Mario, and that's pretty awesome. And what we do in game.cp is if Mario is dead, then we just pause the game, because the game should not continue if Mario is dead. And otherwise we can just kind of do it again, I guess. So let's go ahead and try to do that. So what you should see is that we have got this here, and kind of everything is working. But what we are gonna do is we are gonna restart the game when we need to kind of have that done. So let's just go in here, and if Mario is dead, then we are gonna check if the enter key is pressed. So if Mario is dead and the enter key is pressed, so let's just, if Mario is dead, we'll set pause to true, of course, but we'll add another statement here checking if ss colon keyboard colon is key pressed. And for the key, you can choose any key you want for resuming the game. I'm gonna choose enter, or maybe space. You can of course choose whatever you like, and of course you can have multiple keys here as well. Let's just do space here. So that's awesome. And if space is pressed, then what we want to do is we want to of course resume the game. So you might want to say Mario dot is that is equal to false, of course. If that is equal to false, like that. And we also want to set paused to false. Now that's all pretty good, but what we are gonna do is we are gonna go in here and create another method here called restart. So let's just go ahead and create that method. And what we are going to do is that of course we don't want to reload the resources when we restart the level all over again. Instead, the only thing and we don't want to use music here or anything else either. What we want to do is we just want to yeah, we have actually we have also got our image logic. So all we need to do is we need to recreate the map and set Mario's position again. So let's just go in here and paste those statements here, and that's gonna be really awesome. The problem is that it does not work like that. So let's just make it a image public. So in here we have got let's just make the image public like that, or let's move that down here. Let's call this one map image, for example. Or maybe we don't really need to do that. We can just make it in restart, and that should work just as well. So yeah, it should work, but it's still saying that the identifier is not found. Let's just fix that. It should not cause too many problems here. So let's go ahead and do that, load the image, and then set the position and that correctly. However, the only problem with this approach is that since we are doing this here, we don't really need to load the image again. So we can go here and actually set this to just image, and call this, for example, map image, like that. And what we are gonna do is we are gonna use map image here, but we are gonna load the map image only when we are beginning the game for the very first time. We are not gonna do anything else. So let's just go here and do that as well. And the problem is that Mario has a bunch of other characteristics too, and those characteristics might influence what's happening here. So before we do that, we are gonna you might say you wanna go ahead and set Mario to kind of reconstruct Mario. So we are gonna say Mario is equal to actually not like that, the normal Mario. Yeah, let's do that before we do anything else. So let me undo that, and we are gonna say Mario is equal to Mario, if I can actually type that, is equal to, and we can call the constructor again, and that should basically reset all of Mario's properties, hopefully. And yes, that's gonna work, and then you can call begin again later. The only problem with this is that the physics bodies are not gonna be destroyed. It because it won't work, considering that we have got a bunch of physics bodies here, and the physics is not gonna be destroyed, since we are essentially doing that again. So we are not gonna destroy that physics, but we are gonna call begin again, and it would cause the bodies to be reconstructed. So what you might want to do is you might want to create a system to delete all of the bodies and the fixtures as well, and then we can do something else here, which is basically after we have got this done, we are gonna call this here in restart in the begin method, and whenever we want to restart the actual game, we'll just call this method again. So let's go ahead and do that, and in here so we set is that to false, and then we just restart, and let's do that. And actually what we are gonna do is we are gonna take this statement, and we are also gonna put this inside of restart. So after we have got this done, we are gonna say Mario dot is that is equal to false, even though that is already gonna be false. So let's just do that for no reason, and let's just set post to false as well, and that should work. It should pretty much cause everything to work correctly. So let's go here, and yeah, we've got that done. But the only problem right now is that while it would cause this to work correctly, the actual UI is not gonna render, and it will look to us that the game is just paused. It won't look as though Mario is dead or something. But yeah, we can fix that later. We can just add a little bit of text, and that is an exercise I'm leaving to you. You should basically try to add two pieces of text here, one saying game over and another one telling the user what key the user needs to press to continue the game. But for now, the only problem is that we need to kind of have a way to handle the physics bodies. So in order to do that, what we are going to do is we are going to modify our physics init function, and we are also going to modify the physics header file. So let me just close this down, and if I open up physics.h, I have changed my b2 world from a b2 world to a b2 world pointer, and we just initialize it to nothing in here, and which means it's null. And when we init, if the world is not null, which means that the world did exist before, we'll delete the world, and then we'll set the world to a new b2 world like that, and we'll set the debug draw here. The only reason we do that is so that debug drawing still works even if we restart the level. And when we are actually debug drawing, we are gonna of course call this method as well, and we are gonna now make sure that we use this arrow instead of dots everywhere in our program. And in game.cpp, when we restart, we are gonna initialize the physics, reinitialize it, and we are not gonna do it here. And yeah, that's gonna work. And you want to make sure that you put the post is equal to true in else instead of at the stop, or else it won't work. So let's go ahead and run that, and what you should see is that hopefully everything works without any major problems. So let's go ahead and run that, and what you should see is that we've got Mario here. I jump around and I can collect coins, of course, and I have collected some coins. You can see that some of the coins are not do not exist anymore. And if I go ahead and just stand in the way of this Goomba, what should happen is that the game should be over. Currently it does not display any text, but that's an exercise up to you. If I press the space key, you can see everything gets reset, and I am back at the start, and the coins are also at the correct positions, and everything else is also working, which means that we successfully managed to reset the level. And we can of course jump on the Goomba to kill it. So like that, it actually did not work. Sometimes it won't work due to some problems. The only reason that happens is because the two collisions occur very quickly. So what we want to do is we want to implement a failsafe for that, and that's also an exercise to you. And if you cannot figure that out, I'll give you an idea of how to do it. So what you should essentially do to make sure that does not happen is when you are checking for different so you can see I jumped on the Goomba, it also crashed, but I also died. The reason that happened is because when I crashed the Goomba, it is supposed to have crashed, but it still displays it that way. The only reason it does that is because it triggers two collisions in a single frame. So what we want to do to fix that is pretty simple. You can just before going to check the thing whether we should kill or not, we should make sure that the Goomba is alive. We cannot die to a dead Goomba. So what we are gonna do is go under mario.cpp and in here what you should see is that we have got this data type and everything of that sort. When you are doing this, you might want to cast to an enemy before here, and like that. And what we want to do is we want to make sure that the enemy is not dead. For that, what you'll have to do is you'll need to implement a isDead method inside of enemy that returns the isDead value. And then what you can do is you can make sure that the enemy is not dead before we kill Mario. So that you can do pretty easily. And I'll see you in the next one, and of course I'll show the solutions to the things that I've talked about, so that you don't if you can't figure it out. And we'll implement some menu stuff and other things in our game, so stay tuned for that. I'll see you in the next one. Make sure to like and subscribe as well, and bye.